Hello, I'm Leathur Rokk. Welcome to my channel. I'm waiting for a phone call from a friend of mine to let me know if we're getting in to a veterinarian today. If it isn't sometime today, it's going to be Thursday. Humane Society here doesn't do veterinary care, apparently. I'm just so afraid of what this all is going to cost, and I'm so afraid of what they're going to say. I picked him up off of my mother's bedroom floor because I thought that he should be with me. I can hear him breathing. Um, I hope you guys can see me okay. I'm getting some kind of thing indication on my device saying that it wasn't oriented right. My baby. Show everybody a pretty face. I don't want to lose my cat. You know, I don't know about your social media. It seems like my social media feed is flooded with dead and dying cats. I'm in a lot of cat groups, as you can imagine. And I know he's 15. I noticed, well, people on YouTube had been saying that they thought he looked sick, and I didn't see it, honestly. And he doesn't want for food, treats, love. The only thing he wants for is a financially prosperous family, and this is such a bad time for us with a condemned building, with my mother, 84 years old, and in a series of hospitals and now in a nursing home. And there are times when things weren't looking good for her. Uh, if my mother hadn't lawyered up, I would have been probably forced out of this building and all my stuff probably would have been thrown on the street by now. But I'm mostly worried about him. And, to keep my channel going, I have to have a computer and everything, but I have to have him treated. And apparently, the Humane Society, that's just outside of Pleasantville, which is near Atlantic City, my friend called. I wasn't able to make phone calls and do other things at the same time, and I'm not really great on the phone. So, my friend called and found out that they don't even do care at the Humane Society, which is news to me because my mother, we've had other cats that have gotten medical care at that Humane Society. And of course, I don't have insurance for him because I could only imagine what the premium would be once a month for an old cat. And I'm sorry, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I don't believe in euthanasia. To me, that's murder. When my mom's in pain, I don't go suggest doctors that they just put her to sleep. And if we don't do this for the humans that we love, why do we do this for our animals? And I don't feel that he is suffering, even though I can hear him breathing, but I can hear him breathing because I'm holding him. And if it's diabetes, like I've said in prior videos, I know how to handle a diabetic cat. I had a cat that got diabetes at age 8, and he lived to be age 15, and he died at home. I think he's the cat that I actually made homemade cat food, and I administered him food using an eyedropper. So I was force feeding him, and I was helping him get to a litter box and stuff. And some people said that he didn't have a quality of life, and I kept him hanging on. But he was my cat, and he was my baby, and I don't think it's right. Our cats' lives are too short, as it is. People's lives are too short. And to cut somebody's life prematurely, I believe, is morally wrong. And, I mean, I had people when my other cats died, and I covered them on my channel. I had the most hateful comments. People saying that if they knew that I was going through this with my cat, they would have reported me for cat abuse and all this stuff, all because I don't think it's right to kill an animal you love. He doesn't seem to be in pain. Now I can hear some breathing issues, which is probably because he hasn't been eating. You guys saw the video where I opened up a can of tuna on camera and he didn't even react to it. At least before, when I would be making myself some fried chicken, I could find a big piece of chicken breast and take all the breading and stuff off and just give chicken meat, and he really loved that. I'd still like to know what these scabs and wounds are that are on his skin. Uh, Yesterday, I went to the bus station and I got two bus tickets for which would cover a one way. I mean a one zone fare, which would mean anywhere here on the island. Hey, baby. Oh, you see now this I think is a good sign that he is acting active. Yes. There are videos that I deliberately did not make with him just because I was afraid that people would just accuse me of abusing him and stuff. And it's like, on one hand, I don't care what people think of me, but on the other hand, I know that people take issues of abuse and animal endangerment seriously, and I understand that. But I also believe that murder is wrong. This is the closest to having a child I will ever have. And I would argue that I love cats more than human beings. I love you so much. I don't want to lose you. You know, ever since 9/11, when I came back out here, and I gave up my career and my happiness for my family. And the only thing that really made life really worthwhile was family, cats, and YouTube, okay? Because there's certainly nothing else really as much as quality of life out here. But all I have is my cat and this YouTube channel. My baby. Oh, my baby. Oh. That's what I'm afraid of, is them saying that they want to do thousands of dollars in tests and still not know. I took notes on some people gave me some ideas for things to ask for appetite stimulants and sub-Q, which I believe is, um, I think that's when they IV fluids to help a cat irrigate himself. But he's drinking enough water and he urinates, but there's just nothing else in the litter box because he doesn't have any food in him to pass out. But I had just cleaned the litter box. I'm as attentive as I could possibly be. I mean, obviously, when I'm visiting my mom, I'm not here, but I'm taking off this whole week. Mom even, I think she expected me yesterday, even though there was some rain yesterday. And she knows what's going on with this cat. Oh, he was very old when I got him. I've had him in the house a little over a year, but I've known him outside since like 2019. It was the first time that I found a picture that I took of him. I found him outside behind the Salvation Army, and he's had 4 or 5 owners that have come forward to me, if in fact they're telling me the truth. You know, uh, I don't have an income. The cops took that away from me when they said I couldn't play guitar on the boardwalk anymore. But I'm the kind of person that any money I have, I save. That's how I was able to go to Washington, D.C., and I was able to afford this phone that I'm filming from. But I was intending to get a computer, and I wasn't going to spend more than $300 for it. And I'd set aside a couple $100 to get toward medical care for him. And I'm willing to spend that. Of course, this is going to mean that if anything should happen to my mom, and I'm not going to put that into things, but I'm probably going to end up homeless out of this thing because I couldn't find anybody to store any of my stuff. And I already have two storage units in Los Angeles as it is. And I wanted to go back out there and put all the storage stuff into one unit, so it would cut the rent in half, you know. Now, my mom flat out refused to go traveling with me. I was going to get a used school bus and I was going to make it into an RV. This is before I found out that it costs like $30,000 something for that, which obviously I don't have. But I was going to take my mom to California where she could get state of the art medical care. And of course, I would have Garfield with me. And I was going to get a litter robot. Those things are about $500. And I was not going to get a cheap version of them because the cheap versions of those automatic self-cleaning litter boxes have killed many cats. So I would never recommend anybody go on Amazon and get the cheap versions of that. I was going to spend $500 so that I didn't have to scoop his box, because if I'm living in a bus, I might not have water in it, and obviously you have to be sanitary with cats, you know. You know, ever since the fires happened in California, in areas where I definitely wanted to live and where I could have seen myself, if my ship had come in and I had done something with the movies that I was in, you know, and I would have seen myself buying a house right there in Pacific Palisades, which burned up. And you see how the people who packed up their cars and evacuated, and the roads were so narrow that they ended up leaving all their stuff and running out and losing their things anyway. So it was hell. Can you imagine if you had a bunch of cats and dogs in your car and you couldn't get them all out? I don't want to think about it. There are people that suffered horrific things with their animals, watching their cameras in their homes, watching their animals, and they couldn't get to them. It was terrible. You know, I was going to get that bus, and I was going to get Garfield just before I was ready to leave. And of course, if I had done that, the fleas he had would have gotten in the bus. And of course, since I wouldn't have had a landlord, it would have been real hassle getting the treatment. So I'm glad that I brought him in here with his fleas when we had a landlord and treated the place and everything. One of the things I'm worried about is that mouse he ate last week before last, that somebody suggested that maybe the mouse had some kind of poisons in it that may have affected this cat. And the thing is that when we had pest control, they assured us that they weren't doing anything that was even remotely toxic to pets because they knew that I had a cat. And he also knew that I kind of liked the mice, you know. I've saved about 10 mice I've actually taken out of here and put someplace safe. You know, I've taken mice out of his mouth before. Baby. So, if anything happens to my mom, I would be devastated. Anything happens to him, I'd be devastated. You know, most of my friends don't live local. Now, there is this one who's going to help me with the veterinarian. I guess he has a veterinarian that's in Ventnor, and that's still more of an upscale city than Atlantic City is. You know, I remember Tabby Boy when he got sick. Well, the problem is I don't have photo ID, so I can't cash checks. And I'm tired of explaining to people and being judged for the not having ID thing. You know, when you don't drink anymore and there's no reason for people to card you, there's not a whole lot of reasons to use ID. In my world, I just have never needed it. You know, and I can't have a bank account because if I did, I would lose my health insurance. Not that I've used the health insurance too much, but it's nice to occasionally be able to get a checkup. And the landline cordless extension is right next to my bed. So if my friend calls and he's got an appointment at some place, all I have to do is change my pants and change into another shirt, and I'm ready to go. I have a carrier for him. I have a leash for him. I was going to get a harness so that I could walk him on a leash, and I was going to get a special file transfer cable so that I could get all the information from this phone so that I could get it fixed. But we're having problems with package delivery. So the package was supposedly delivered and somebody walked off with it or something. So, but, you know, I wanted to harness walk him so that in the event that I ended up homeless, I could still have him and not lose him because there is a chance that I could end up on the street. Now, as far as cash work, I've been trying to find out. If the cops would have just left me alone with my guitar on the boardwalk, that would have been fine. You know, I could only do that when my mother wasn't here, days when she was in the hospital. Hey, baby. Hey, baby, how do you feel? You know what? I'm tired of explaining why I don't have ID, and I will, so help me God, I will abort this damn stream if you snag me about that. I don't have ID, okay? Some people don't. Accept it. And don't argue with me. You're not my boss, you're not my parent. Knock it off. I don't have it. And by the way, a lot of people are having problems getting ID. Have you noticed this whole thing about the real ID thing? And for your information, we have a DMV here that does not allow walk-ins anymore. You ever try getting someplace on a bus and trying to make an appointment, and all of a sudden you have to go to the bathroom, and then you go to the bus terminal, and guess what? The bathroom is closed. Okay? You can't just do that. They do not allow walk-ins anymore. And the nearest appointment is in the middle of June. So no, I'm not going to get any goddamn motherfucking ID. So get off my ass about that, okay? I don't have it. So I'm looking for cash work. I had that cash work with the guitar. The cops kicked me off the boardwalk. They threatened me with arrest. They're really being hardcore on the boardwalk with people. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry about giving you attitude, but people have been reaming me hard. I've been accused of neglecting my cat. I've been called irresponsible. People said that I've been forcing my mom to live in squalor. I'm getting all kinds of hassles. My mom's 84 years old. She was in 2 different hospitals. I visited her almost every day then until, of course, my $50, I had a Visa gift card, which I used. And I'm even bullshitting and misrepresenting my age to get senior fares so that I could pay half price. And I'm sure some of you are going to say that I'm doing something that's untoward. Well, guess what? Not everybody has a lot of resources. I asked the Salvation Army for advice. Now, there's a couple of people in the homeless community who have threatened me, actually threatened Trump and threatened to cause problems at the inauguration. And since, of course, you know that I was there, and I basically said nobody's going to be causing problems. And I got into some people, and so there's places that are just not safe anymore. And plus, now that my mother is sick and I've got a sick cat, I'm not going a bunch of places. But Salvation Army, all the best they could offer me is to apply for welfare. I'd sooner slit my wrists. First of all, I'm not homeless. Second of all, welfare, if you're not disabled, you don't even get $100 here. It's not like San Francisco, where I've lived in San Francisco. California has better resources. And as far as don't you even, and if you get on me and accuse me of not being responsible, again, I will abort this stream. Just because a person is a content creator and they're a bit of a public figure doesn't mean that you can abuse them. And not everybody has the same financial situation. I've been accused of getting a check, which I don't get. I've been accused of, why don't I put it on my credit card? I don't have a credit card, okay? People make all kinds of assumptions. I even asked my mother if we could put something on hers. And the thing is, she always used to pay at the end of the month, so she never carried a balance. Well, now she has a balance. My family is in debt. And it sucks. If anything happens to my mom, I'm probably going to be responsible for it. Like I said, if anything happens to her, there's a good chance I'm going to be on the street. So if people are going to judge me, you guys, no, I'm not going to have it. And don't you even accuse us of being irresponsible. There was a time when we had money. I had a diabetic cat. He was diagnosed at age 8, and I had him till 15. I administered the shots. And I didn't kill him. I don't go take somebody to go and be murdered any more than I would have people kill my mother. She's sick. She's depressed. She's got pain issues. What? Am I going to go suggest to doctors, you know what? She's had a full life. She's 84. Why don't we just put her down? No, you don't do it. Maybe some countries they do things where they don't value life. Like I already told you, and I shouldn't have to repeat myself. I'm waiting on a phone call to see if when I could get in with my cat to a veterinary clinic or something. There's two of them that I know of that might be slightly affordable, and I'm sure I can't. I mean, what do you want me to do? I've already decided that the $300 that I set aside that I was going to get a computer, which I need because I obviously need to be able to continue this channel. In case you think that I don't have a right to be on YouTube, even though I've been on it 12 and a half years, and come September it'll be 13 years. I'm not sacrificing my channel. Now, if I'm already willing to give up the money that I had set aside for a computer to go toward this cat's veterinary care, I can't do better than what I'm doing. And I refuse to be judged for my lack of resources. And I mean it. If people start up with me, the reason why I'm on this live stream is because people have been asking for me to go live. And I had to even ask the AI to tell me how to go live on a cell phone because I don't know how to use these devices. And no, this doesn't have a data plan. This isn't a device you could call from. I just use it for the internet. So I am sacrificing what little I have for this cat. Most of the people I know here are homeless, okay? Most of my friends live very far away, like literally on the West Coast or in the Midwest. And I have had people offer to help me locally, and they are men, and they won't help me for free. And I think you know where we're getting. There's like 3 men that I know that basically want favors. In other words, they want prostitution. And I'm not willing to do that, even if that would solve my problems. So if you think that that's all that women are good for, is that, oh, we've got body parts and we can make money. No. And there are some people that are willing to do that, but I'm not. So don't judge me. You know. Sometimes we film our cat footage so that we have video footage that we could show the medical professionals. I had a tablet, computer tablet, that had footage of my last year and a half of the cats who are dead, of their lives. And unfortunately, I set it down, and 5 minutes later, somebody stole it. And a lot of that was footage that I never got to show anybody, and I wish that I would have put on Facebook, and I wish I would have put on here, even though I didn't put it on YouTube, because of the people casting aspersions about my giving the care to my cats. And again, if you don't have money, what are you supposed to do? I was even told that if I don't have a reputation with a vet already, they're not even going to do a payment plan. And again, I ask you, where is this money going to come from? I'm not going to be judged. I talk to my mother about this. Whenever people give me shit on the internet, I share it with my mother because she and I have a very close relationship. And she, who does not suffer fools lightly, she knows the situation. It's like when I went to an AA meeting and this lady wanted to be my sponsor, and she tricked me into revealing that I still smoke weed. And then she said, because I smoke weed, my sobriety doesn't count. And that's a crock of horse manure if I ever heard one. I'm not going to be judged when I know that I'm doing better than I was 20 years ago, 23 years ago. I don't do hard drugs. I don't do alcohol. And the weed that I smoke, I don't spend money on it. So that doesn't make me irresponsible. This cat is having a much better life than if he was out on the street. Did you know that 1 block away, there's a street where a bunch of cats were poisoned to death? So there is somebody that's going around killing street cats. Any cat that I get that lives with me is a cat that's not going to fall victim of the monster that's floating around here in Atlantic City. Now, I can't do anything until I find out whether this cat's being seen today. Now, the cat can't be seen tomorrow because my friend has a medical appointment. So if I don't get to see in somewhere to see this cat today, it's going to be Thursday. And another thing, I have a phobia about thunder and lightning. If it's just rain, drizzle, I can be out. But if there's thunder and lightning involved, I have a phobia about that. So, my baby, you my baby, my sweetheart. Let them see your pretty face. Let them see your pretty face. Oh. Another reason why I want to get a computer is because when you live stream, you can at least do it this way. For some reason, cell phones requires me to live stream this way, and it's cramping up my hand. I got the pins and needles in my hand. It's very hard to hold these things. I had a little holder, but it looked too much like a handgun. Whenever I was carrying it with the computer, it looked like I was armed, and I could see where that could really be problematic. Baby, my sweetheart, I love you. Love you so much. When my tabby boy was dying, and I was holding him on my bed. This was 2023, I think. He actually peed on me on the bed, and it's like, it doesn't matter. I know how to take a shower, you know. But if this cat was outside, what kind of care do you think he would get? People that lived on that street, they mostly are in rooming houses, and they all say no pets. If people cared about this cat so much, they never would have left him. I notice a lot of people do with cats. Once things get expensive, they just open up their door and throw the cat out. Or else they put the cat in a kill shelter. And cats this old, usually they just kill them right away. Because people, especially when there's kitten season, everybody wants the babies. Thank you. This is Garfield. He's 17 years old. And I'm waiting for a phone call from my friend to let me know if we got an appointment to see a veterinarian. I want them to force feed him. I give him appetite stimulants. There's this thing called Sub-Q that I was recommended. I have some things that I took notes on. I have a notebook. I write everything down, just like with my mother's medical care and how the screw-ups they've been doing in her nursing home. Like not giving them coffee and forgetting breakfast and not remembering lunch until past 2 o'clock. Especially when people are weak like my mother and she can't even sit in bed. And when they press the buttons for the call buttons, it flashes a light. And there's people that are workers, they're hanging out in a hallway, bitching, bullshitting each other. Hey, they want to see your pretty face. They want to see your pretty face, yes. Whoops. Oh, my baby. You know what? Maybe I'll lift you up and sit you down. Oh, would that be better? Or maybe I should just put you on my bed here. Whoops. There. Oh, my goodness. Look at the fur. It just is coming off of him. Oh. And of course, I save his hair because that's what I do. I save my mom's hair when I cut her hair too, which I was going to cut her hair the last time I visited her. Oh boy. I plucked Garfield out of the alley behind me. He has been cared for by like 4 or 5 different people who claim they had him. Of course, my question is, why don't you still have him? People look for excuses to not keep their cats. Oh, I think I'm about to be put on the street. Or I've found a place to live, but it doesn't allow cats. And they drop their cats off at these kill shelters. And don't start to think about how the cat feels. There's this cat that's known you and loves you. I'm guessing they love you. I guess they love the people who take care of them. And what ends up happening is these people just drop them off like they were tissues to be discarded. You don't do that. I mean, your cat that you love is your cat who you love forever. Am I right? I don't really want to wipe my face because I have sunblock on. I am very worried about my cat. And you notice they always get sick on the weekends. And I don't understand why something like a veterinary clinic or whatever would be closed on weekends. Healthcare doesn't take a day off. You know, years ago they used to do this thing called blue laws on Sundays. Stores were closed and stuff, and I never understood that. Life doesn't take off a day just because some people are real religious. Garfield, look at that baby. Look at that baby. Oh, man. I don't know if I could press the button and switch from front to back cameras during a post. I don't know if you can do that. Oh, yes, you can. Excuse me, I'm sorry. When I am stressed out, my sinuses go. I apologize for that. I don't even like him getting on the floor because these floors are filthy, dirty, and disgusting. But like I said, this building is supposed to be torn down. But my mom has a lawyer, and the next day I could get in to see her, she's going to give me a check for the rent. And the place that I pay the rent to is literally just a block up the street. So that will buy us another month. They have been, though, refusing to fix the roof that when it rains, the water comes. And I will show you. I already showed a video with this. This, I had to take all the things that was packed up there. This is a storage room that I have, as you can see, clothes packed up. This is all trousers. I'm looking for more really big luggage. Where's Garfield? Big luggage that I can fill up with things. And you know, if people are going to make things about the fact that this place is a mess, guess what? I'm hardly ever here because I'm always visiting my mom in the hospital, or now I'm dealing with this cat. And I'm packing up, and I did clean up in the hallway so that the pictures and the videos I shot of the cat would look more attractive. You know, Garfield, you my baby. Baby. There, put things down there so it doesn't look so bad. Oh. Yeah. But Garfield is still active enough that he goes to his water and his food. That there is the tuna he wouldn't eat. Water, I must fill the water thing 3 times a day. Poor baby. My cat is my world. You know, well, my world is my cat, my mom, and my YouTube channel. I was going to go to see a band called Kiffness, which is really one person with a machine. He samples cat videos in some of his music, and I was going to see him play in Philadelphia, but I found out that the club I have no idea how to get to. It's not in a neighborhood that I know. If it was going to be within walking distance of where they drop us off, since they no longer have a bus terminal, I was really looking forward to going. Because I would like to have some kind of quality of life, something besides just doing housework and taking care of my mom and visiting her. And, well, taking care of the cat, obviously, I don't mind because he's my baby. But really, I don't feel I have too much of a life. And I don't want to be filming around Atlantic City because I don't want to seem like I'm promoting a town that never really loved me back. And this is just a weird place that treats the visitors that come here so much better. Excuse me. If I have time to do what I do, okay? Here, I want you to see something. You want to say that I should clean up trash? Look, see this hallway? I picked the hallway up, doing what I can. You think I'm going to spend all my waking time when I have YouTube, I have my mother, I have my cat? Then there's the old guy that was sleeping in his van. The van got towed away. He was here for breakfast and for dinner. Okay. Then my friends come by, that they're hungry, and I serve food for them. I'm always doing things for every other goddamn person, not for myself. And you're going to tell me, oh, at least I can clean. I'll tell you what, you want to come over here and help me? Everybody's so quick to judge. I'm not even living my life for myself. It's all for people that I care for, and you're going to, and no, my mom's not necessarily getting good care. I talked to her yesterday. She called me. I can't call her directly because apparently for 2 days they didn't even connect her phone. And I was too busy worrying about my cat. I think my time would be better spent in packing my things, okay? We have been here 18 years. I have things to pack. And you're worried about cleaning. You know what? No. Just stop. Burger Boy, hello. How you doing? I'm waiting for... See this phone here? This is a cordless extension to our landline. I'm waiting on a call to find out whether Garfield and I can get into one of two veterinary places. One might be another humane society. The other is a veterinarian in a town called Ventnor. And I need to obviously get him seen, as long as they don't recommend killing him, because killing's murder. I would rather do hospice at home, but I do want, what did the people recommend? Is a sub-Q, that's supposed to administer liquids, and there is something to encourage his appetite. I don't remember what it was called. Let me go in my mom's room and look at the notebook. Oh, here it is. Let's see. Oh, and this is another place that Garfield lays down. And the reason why the paper is there is because it's cleaner than the floor that my feet touch. Do you think cats should be in dirty surfaces? Okay, no, my mom's not getting the best care. They forget to give meals sometimes. 2 days in a row, nobody gave them coffee. And when people press, they have, in these nursing homes, they have call buttons and chains you pull for someone to come. What that does is that just shows a light flashing outside your room. And meanwhile, the people that are working there, they're chit-chatting and talking to each other in the hallway. No, she's not necessarily getting the best care. And if I get sick, so what? I already did have this finger. I'm going to show you something very ugly and disgusting. This finger is missing a nail. because it came off. It was infected. It was probably infected before I went to Washington, D.C., and it was sore all the time I was there. And I spent a day in the emergency room 2 days before my mom went in for her routine stress test, because she's a cardiac patient. My mother and I both had cellulitis, except hers combined with her arthritis. She has polyseptic arthritis. I'm sure maybe you guys have never heard of that, because I never heard of that either. She was in Atlantic Care for like a week and a half, and then they transferred her over to Camden, New Jersey, Cooper University Medical Center. And as far as, somewhat clean environment, this place is not clean, okay? And like I said, I'm only one person. What little time I have left, I don't want, one thing I remember seeing my mom on her hands and knees scrubbing the kitchen floor. Okay, this is my mom, probably. Yes. Let's see. Hello? Hello?
Hello, this is Dan.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Okay, I called the Humane Society, and they said that they are booked solid. They're not taking any new clients.
Okay.
So the only thing we can do is go to Met, and I'll take you there on Thursday.
Okay, Thursday. He's not acting good. I actually had laid him on my chest on the bed for a while. He's very lethargic. I was doing a live stream, and of course the usual cast of characters are accusing me of neglecting my cat and all this crap, and they're up my ass about the mess. And it's like, you know what? I'm just, people are being really cruel. And like, this cat, we are not mean to our cats. But Thursday, okay. But no, that the Humane Society, what, they're not taking new people?
Right, they're not taking new clients because they're booked solid.
Oh, okay.
Really big crowd in there.
All right, well, it is what it is. Oh, boy. Okay, so...
Okay, so I'll call my vet and see if I can get an appointment for Thursday.
Okay, thank you. I'll stay here and you let me know what he tells you, okay?
Okay.
Thanks. Talk to you soon. Thank you. All right. All right. That was a phone call that I was worried about. That I was worried about. I mean, that I was looking for. So now I'm not going to get anybody to see Garfield until Thursday. That also means I'm not going to be... Well, you know what? I could try to see my mom tomorrow. Because then at least she'll give me the rent check so that I can go up the street and pay the rent. And then we will have another month where they can't mess with us. But this is the reality. When I say that this channel is real reality TV, that's what I mean, is that this is real. Garfield, this is my baby. You guys talking about clean and stuff. I have things that, let me show you something. I have things packed up that need to be safeguarded someplace so that if something happens, like the fucknuts back behind us start another fire, I need to be able to get my things and stored someplace. I have a lot of homeless friends here. They are obviously not in a position to help, and my friends who do have places to live, most of them smoke tobacco. I'm not having my clothes in a place that's going to smell like tobacco. Okay, I'm sure you understand if you don't like the smell of tobacco smoke. So I have things that I need to... I'm not going to show you the rest of the mess. You're just going to give people ammunition. It is what it is. You have to have a place to put things. You have to have a place to put things. And as far as the brushing coats goes, I've been wanting to brush him, but he has scabs on his fur, on his skin. And I am really afraid that if I brush him, it's going to break him open. And then if they have to use an anesthetic on him, it's going to make him sting. He's 17. And I know he's doing a lot better here than back outside. He wasn't a colony cat. even though he does have the ear tip, you see the ear tip? Even though some crazy crackhead lady who claimed she used to have him, she said that her little boy cut his ear. And when she said that, I said, if my child, if I had one, did that, I would pull his pants down and his bottom would be red. Just like if I did things that were really, really bad, and I wasn't that bad a little girl. But you think I didn't get a few spankings? And you think I didn't earn the spankings I got? And matter of fact, I thanked my mom repeatedly that she did, because she spanked me when I did bad things. I did not grow up to be a shoplifter. I didn't grow up to be a thief. I didn't grow up to be any kind of these miscreants that are up and down the streets where we live. What I would do? There is a slight chance I would be homeless. Okay, I know this. That's why I wanted to get him a harness. See, my plan was, because I know I can't afford rents anywhere, and the only work that I can get is cash work, and I was playing guitar and the cops kicked me off the boardwalk. I was going to get a used school bus. I was going to pay about $2,000 for that, and I was going to make that into a home. Because I can't live in a jitney because I have too much stuff. There are things I tried to sell. I could not get any buyers. The only thing that I got stored in this house is my electric guitars and my electric bass. That's stored someplace. But I still have my acoustic guitar. But yeah, if something happens to her, there is a chance I'm going to be homeless. And another reason why I wanted to buy that laptop that I really need, it's not a luxury, is so that no matter what happens, I can continue the YouTube channel. Because no matter what happens to me, YouTube is the only thing I have out here. And I am going to go on with that. So, since I am no longer in California, the showbiz life that I had really gave me joy in life. And out here, I worked briefly for a radio station, but then the owner decided that it was better to just get college interns and not pay me my $10 an hour cash, to have them work for free, because, why not get free labor? I guess the slave owners were on to something. If you don't have to pay your employees, you can do better business, apparently. Well, so I'm out here where I never felt I belonged. I certainly don't relate to the people in the neighborhood. The girls are prostitutes, and most of the people are on crack and heroin and tickets, whatever they are. But I've been homeless before. I don't want to do it again, but I've been homeless before. But it was in California, where the weather was much better. But I was going to put a harness on Garfield, and we were going to do it together. I'm not one of these people that, the shit's hitting the fan, I got to get rid of my cat. No, we don't do that. But I was going to go back to California. I still have 2 storages there in Hollywood. But when that fire happened in Pacific Palisades, that was a wake-up call for me, because all the years I lived in California, it was always earthquakes that we were afraid of. And even though we knew about the Santa Ana winds, it was earthquakes that we were afraid of. And they're kind of scary. And they're interesting also from a financial. Thank you. But if anything happens to my mother, I'm not staying here in Atlantic City, because I really don't like it here. They say, show us your friends, show us your future. Well, aside from the person who's going to be taking me to get his medical care Thursday, most of the locals I know here are homeless. They're on serious drugs that I don't do. Most of the girls are prostitutes. Most of the guys are crackheads and needle users, and they almost all smoke tobacco. And none of those things apply to my life. And sometimes I'm afraid that if I don't find a better class of associates, I would be like those people. And I don't want to be like those people. Well, first of all, I don't think I'm going to go on drugs. I never did needles in my life. I haven't had a drink of alcohol in over 20 years. I haven't done a chemical in over 23 years. So those are not part of my life. And I'm not going to feel guilty for the weed, because it doesn't cost me anything. And it really makes me happy. And I still get a lot of things done on it. All the creative stuff and what have you. But I'm thinking if I don't end up in Los Angeles, even though that really is where the work is. You know, you can always be a movie extra there. And there's movie extra work, there's 5 lines or less work. If I join SAG, then I could get even more work than that. And I have 8 SAG vouchers, and you only need 3 to join a union. If you didn't know, SAG, that's Screen Actors Guild, they merged with AFTRA. That's American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. They are now the same union now, just like AFL merged with CIO, and now it's AFL-CIO. Well, but the union dues are very expensive, and the initiation, when I was last there, it was like 2,500. You had to pay by a cashier's check. Now I'm sure it's a lot more expensive than that. And it's of dubious benefit whether or not that's even worth it, spending that kind of money, because you end up taking a lot of non-union work anyway. Most actors in Los Angeles, they don't make close to $5,000 a year on it, which means they end up, and your health insurance through SAG doesn't even kick in until you make your first 5,000 that year. But we are doing the best that we can, and people judging us, it's really unfair, and people making assumptions. I know that I look prosperous, not when I show my house obviously, but the way I dress and the things that I have, which for all you know, they came from free clothes piles that somebody dumped behind someplace and I found them, or somebody went dumpster diving and dumped a bunch of clothes someplace, or maybe I got things at a dollar store or something. So I present a bit of a front with my image that I look a lot more prosperous than I am. And I think that's my right, as is the fact that I use skincare to try to look as good as possible. What, am I supposed to look as bad as my situation is? That's not acceptable. So, but financially, we're not doing well. It used to be if there was some kind of an emergency, oh, I'll just put it on a credit card. No, things aren't like that. And my mom specifically said that I cannot put anything on her card. And you know what? She's not getting the best care out there, because sometimes people are really screwing up. And if that aide with the loud rap music on his cell phone comes in there again, drowning out her TV, I mean, I couldn't believe that. Most of the senior citizens, at least the white ones, they don't want to hear that garbage. You know, that bitch better have my money, bust a cap up her asses, bitches and hoes and cunts and all the words that they use in that on those that art form. You know, it's one thing if and I'm not saying there is an occasional song that I do like. There's a few things I like, but for the most part, that's not my scene. And I can't imagine that it's okay to be blasting that on your device and bringing that to work with you and blasting that for all the people who are, you know, when you're an old person and you're stuck in a bed, you can't escape if somebody brings something unpleasant. You know, my mom's last roommate, their family, they brought a dog in. My mom's afraid of dogs. My mom doesn't care for dogs. And I've been bit by dogs when I was a little girl, so I'm a little leery of them until I get to know certain individual dogs. Like the German Shepherd that was across the street. He was a love dog. He was a real good boy. But, you know, I'm a little leery of them. And plus, too many times people sick them on cats and things, so, you know. But why would it be okay to bring a dog to visit somebody who has a roommate and not run it past my mother to see if she was allergic or afraid, whatever? And I said to her, I said, why can't I bring Garfield in his carrier? I have a new carrier I got for Garfield. I'm going to show you this one here. So carry him there, but I'm not going to get to see him until Thursday at the I don't know where exactly this place is. It's somewhere in a town called Ventnor. So all right, this is pretty much all I have to say. You know what's up with the cat. I'm doing the best that I can. Uh and I'm just going to maybe fix myself something to eat. I wanted to go make some coffee, but I only found 2 sugars, and if I can't sweeten my coffee, I'm not going to make any. And it's really no fun to make coffee when there's nobody else to be drinking coffee. If a friend came over or something, then I could make a whole pot and I could share it with them. So that's what I do. I'm here. People come here and they ring my doorbell. People who don't always realize the church has moved out and they're hungry. And I put some things in the freezer and I heat things for people. So that's another thing that I make myself useful for when I'm here. So, you know what? I'm doing things that are not even for myself. So, but I will give another update when I know more. Thank you for tuning in. I will maybe do something later today, or if I have a reason to go out of the house. Well, I was here for my most important phone call because the cat obviously is most important. Um, Maybe if it gets too late where I know I'm not going to be hearing from my mom anymore, maybe I will step outside if I have a reason to. Uh, or if somebody wants me to meet them because they know that I'm really stressed out over my cat, and maybe they might want to smoke me out or something because people know about the cat and stuff, and that would not be a bad thing. Or maybe the old guy that was sleeping in his van, maybe he's going to show up. And I've been letting him sleep in the back stairwell, the one where when I was showing off how loud the church noise was and stuff. I put him there when it was raining real hard because I really didn't feel comfortable with him being in the stairwell that's directly attached to our house because I can't sleep if I know somebody is here. Plus, I need to be alone before I can wash my face and wash my makeup off. If somebody's here, I'm not going to be washing my makeup off. That's another thing. So, you know. All right, I will maybe do a live stream later today or something, but this was an update on my cat. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.